in the industry for over 30 years. So what you think has remained constant over the years, probably in this industry?
I think what's remained constant is the fact that people have a lot of questions about services that they receive, whether that's the cereals that they eat or when they go to a doctor. When they go to a doctor, there's so many questions that ordinary members of the community have that if they had answers to, would actually help businesses improve their products and services. But unfortunately, a lot of the time, most businesses and services focus just on delivery. They don't focus on other things that actually work, and help them understand how to deliver their services better. So I think that hasn't actually changed, that there's still a lot of introspection and not engaging enough of the community involved, not engaging enough of the community in relation to service delivery. That hasn't changed to me.
Okay, so if we talk about the reason why basically you selected being in this profession, like it's by chance or it's for your interest, or is there any specific story the users should know that, yeah, this was the inspiration from where it all started?
Yeah, I think my passion for equality, diversity, and corporate social responsibility started when I was working in the Crown Prosecution Service. Now, I don't know if you all know, but in the UK, the Crown Prosecution Service is the organization, it's a government department that prosecutes cases that the police have investigated. So the police go to a crime, they get the evidence, they compile it all together, and they give it to the Crown Prosecution Service to present at court. So basically, it's an organization that supports lawyers and the legal process to present criminal cases in court. And what I found, which was deeply moving for me, is that nobody wants to be a participant in the criminal justice system. Nobody really wants to be a witness to crime. You don't want to see crime. You don't want to be a victim of crime. And you definitely don't want to be a defendant. That's the person who commits crime. But what really shaped my views and why I wanted to do this profession is that it's just a matter of chance for a lot of people that end up as defendants. A lot of the people that I came across in my career, it was for the want of a better opportunity, better upbringing, better parents, better education, better life chances. That was the main thing that made you more susceptible to being a defendant rather than a victim or a witness or a lawyer or a judge. Just the bad luck of life chances. And I also thought that we all have a responsibility to play as a community in making sure that children get the life chances that they need so they don't end up being defendants or having that circumstance which is so unfortunate that they have to commit crime. That really affected me because I met so many wonderful people that were just unlucky for the choices that they had to make. I remember meeting a young man in prison that had murdered somebody because over a fight, he just gave them one punch and they dropped down dead. And his punishment was particularly severe, I thought, because of his life circumstances. He was a gypsy, he couldn't read and write. And I think he got punished more severely because of his life experiences. So that really impacted me, particularly as I started working in the CPS. The CPS went through a revolution, almost a renaissance, where they changed from being a very indifferent organization that hid behind legal policy and legal jurisprudence to an organization that wanted to know from the community what it needed to do to improve its services. That is when we started to understand that some people were very disadvantaged. There's the fact that people couldn't read or write was a surprise to a lot of people working in the service. And the difference we could make if we just adjusted our services slightly to accommodate people's needs. I'll just give a tiny example. There was a time in the CPS when they started producing audio letters. Once we were aware people were illiterate, and illiteracy isn't something, we also found out, for example, that illiteracy isn't, the stereotype tells you illiterate people are very, very stupid, they're thick, they're very poor. But actually, we found out you can be very highly placed in society and still not be able to read and write, because people have support networks around them to help them get through the problems. You know, whether it's people, you know, a lot of people have friends who will say that will help them read documents, or they actually have businesses and have secretaries that will read all their documents for them. And you know, we found out, for example, how to be much more sensitive when people say things like, I haven't got my glasses, can you read that letter for me? Might be a signal that they can't read and write. And this is what I mean about all these kind of things really impacted the way I saw service delivery, that you need to be much more sensitive to how you deal with your customers, your clients, in order to get the best from them. And in the case of the CPS, you wanted to get the best evidence from people, which is why the organization underwent such a huge renaissance, really.
Right. So even I feel like we all know to err is human. Like at some time, definitely we make a mistake or probably unknowingly. But yes, how we learn from it and how we actually, that, yeah, if we have something in mind, okay, this has to be actually done in this way, then definitely we can take the corrective measures as well. And as you rightly said, trainings can definitely help you know the more about any particular topic, but it's not just the theoretical knowledge that we should focus on, but actually if we practice, if like practice as you preach to others. So it's not just that, yeah, you should do this, but actually if I'm doing that, then definitely if someone sees my action, that will have a huger impact than if I'll be talking about that stuff all the time.
Absolutely.
True. So diversity inclusion, it is for the AI driven future, like probably in few words, if you have to say something on that.
Yeah, I think it's very important. I think attitudes to artificial intelligence are changing very rapidly. It's almost like comparing, you remember when people were very fearful of calculators? They thought that how can you use a calculator in a math exam? It's cheating. When you compare an abacus, you know what an abacus is? An abacus to a calculator, people are very frightened. But actually, once you make that transition, you realize how useful it is. And for me, the key issue around artificial intelligence is accessibility for everybody to understand how to use it, how to have access to it. It's the bias also trained into the programming, to make sure that, for example, community are aware and understand. There's so many people in the community, for example, that have never had access to artificial intelligence or even programming, that actually if you gave them the opportunity, they might be able to help retrain and help you with things that you didn't even think about that create new ones. So I think it's very important. Accessibility, equity of access is so important, particularly now. And it's wonderful to see, for example, absolutely.
Finally, it was really great listening to your thoughts. Finally, if you have any special thought for someone, maybe a recent graduate or maybe someone who wants to, do something in this corporate social responsibilities aside, what are your, I would say a success mantra or success secrets, or you would say few inspiring words for them that, yeah, if you go in this way or keep going or anything like that, then you'll definitely make an impact.
Yeah, I think for corporate social responsibility and equality, diversity, and inclusion, the key thing for me is progress over perfection. You can't have your ideal situation immediately, but every small step towards it is valuable. So I think that's the most important thing to me. And I think sometimes equality, diversity, inclusion can get lost down a rabbit hole as people search for perfection.
True.
And we've seen that with a lot of campaigns for equality and diversity. You just have to, and you also have to go together. If you want to go somewhere fast, you go on your own. If you want to go far, you go with other people. You go together. And I think that's the most important thing. Anybody interested in corporate social responsibility as a career needs to have an interest in their community as well. I don't think it's something you can do in isolation. You have to be part of your community. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful Christmas holiday period.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.